Welcome to the Geo Factor, your source for all things geopolitical. In today's video, we'll be discussing three major events that have grabbed headlines around the world. First, we'll be talking about the recent incident in which Ukrainian forces claim to have destroyed several Russian cruise missiles in a strike on the Crimean Peninsula. Second, we'll be diving into the UK's decision to send ammunition with depleted uranium to Ukraine and the strong response it has elicited from Russian President Vladimir Putin. And finally, we'll be looking at the recent visits by the leaders of Japan and China to Kyiv and Moscow, respectively. So, buckle up and join us as we explore the latest developments shaping the world of international politics. On March 21st, the Ukraine Defense Ministry announced that it had carried out the strike in response to an attempted attack by Russia on its military positions. The strike reportedly targeted a military facility in the Kherson region of Ukraine, near the Crimean border. The incident has raised tensions between Russia and Ukraine, with each side presenting their own version of events. Russia denies that any missiles were destroyed, while Ukraine maintains that it successfully neutralized the threat. This incident marks the latest escalation in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which began with Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. The conflict has since evolved into a full-scale war, with numerous ceasefire agreements being broken and thousands of lives lost. The use of advanced military technology, such as cruise missiles, in the conflict zone has raised concerns about the potential for further escalation and civilian casualties. Additionally, conflicting accounts from both sides highlight the difficulty in verifying information in a conflict zone. The international community has expressed concern about the situation, with calls for de-escalation and a return to diplomacy. The United Nations has urged both sides to exercise restraint and avoid actions that could lead to further escalation. The incident has also drawn attention to the ongoing annexation of Crimea by Russia, which has been condemned by the international community. The annexation has significant geopolitical implications, with tensions between Russia and the West reaching new heights. As tensions continue to rise, it is crucial for both sides to prioritize dialogue and peaceful resolution of the conflict. The use of military force is unlikely to bring a lasting solution to the conflict and could instead lead to further loss of life and instability in the region. The destruction of Russian cruise missiles in a strike on the Crimean Peninsula has raised tensions between Russia and Ukraine and highlighted the ongoing conflict between the two countries. It is essential for the international community to remain engaged and support efforts towards de-escalation and a return to diplomacy. UK decided to send ammunition with depleted uranium to Ukraine. It has sparked concern among the international community, with many people questioning the use of depleted uranium in warfare due to its harmful effects on human health and the environment. However, the UK has defended its decision, arguing that the ammunition is necessary for Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression. The UK also states that it is sending the ammunition in accordance with international law and regulations. While the debate over depleted uranium shells continues, Putin's strong response to the UK's decision has raised tensions in the region. In fact, Putin has warned that Russia will respond accordingly if Ukraine gets depleted uranium shells from the UK, claiming that they have a nuclear component. This has led to concerns about the potential for further escalation of the conflict in Ukraine, which has already resulted in the annexation of Crimea by Russia and the ongoing fighting in eastern Ukraine. The use of depleted uranium in warfare is a highly controversial topic, with both sides presenting valid arguments. However, the use of depleted uranium in warfare is banned by several international treaties, including the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons. Proponents argue that depleted uranium shells are an effective weapon against armored vehicles, while opponents point to the harmful effects it has on human health and the environment. The impact of the UK's decision to send depleted uranium shells to Ukraine is uncertain. However, it has raised tensions in the region and could potentially escalate the conflict. It is important to note that the ongoing conflict in Ukraine has complex geopolitical dynamics at play, and the UK's decision to send ammunition with depleted uranium is just one example of this. We will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the latest updates. On March 17th, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida made a surprise visit to Ukraine to meet with President Zelensky. During his visit, Kishida pledged Japan's support for Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty, and announced a $100 million loan to Ukraine for infrastructure projects. This is a significant show of support from Japan, which has traditionally remained neutral in the conflict. Just a day before Kishida's visit, Chinese President Xi Jinping traveled to Moscow to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Jinping expressed China's support for Russia's stance on the conflict in Ukraine and pledged to deepen ties with Russia in areas such as energy, technology, and culture. These visits by the leaders of Japan and China highlight the geopolitical stakes of the conflict in Ukraine, which has drawn in major powers from across the world. Japan's support for Ukraine aligns it with other Western countries that have condemned Russia's actions, while China's support for Russia could signal a shift in its foreign policy as it seeks to expand its influence in the region. Both Japan and China have important economic ties with Russia. China is Russia's largest trading partner, while Japan relies on Russia for energy resources. However, their differing approaches to the conflict in Ukraine could potentially strain these economic ties as Western countries impose sanctions on Russia and pressure other countries to reduce their ties with Russia. The conflict in Ukraine has far-reaching consequences beyond its borders, and the international community is closely watching the actions of major powers. As tensions continue to escalate, the potential for this conflict to have significant economic and political ramifications increases. And that's a wrap for today's video on the Geo Factor. We hope you found our analysis of the recent events in Ukraine, Russia, Japan, and China informative and thought-provoking. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Ukraine's claim of destroying Russian cruise missiles in Crimea? Do you agree with the UK's decision to send ammunition with depleted uranium to Ukraine? What are your thoughts on the strong response from Russian President Vladimir Putin? And finally, what do you make of the recent visits by the leaders of Japan and China to Kyiv and Moscow? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on the latest geopolitical developments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.